Okay, today we'll start pressure in fluids. Now, before coming to directly pressure in fluids, first we'll see what is pressure. Now, for that, first of all, we should understand what do we mean by thrust. Now, thrust means it is the force acting normally on a surface. Means thrust is a force. The force which acts normally on a surface, that is called thrust. Normally means perpendicular. Now suppose this is a surface, then if a force acts directly perpendicular in this way, we say that is a thrust. So this is thrust. So it should be perpendicular with the surface. It's not that the force will act in this direction or any other direction. It should be perpendicular, either in this way or this way. So that is called thrust. So whenever a force acting normally on a surface, we say that is a thrust. And naturally the SI unit will be Newton, because the SI unit of force is Newton. And thrust is a vector quantity because it is a direction like this. When the arrow is given, that means the direction is downward. When the arrow is given this way, the direction is upward. So that means it is a vector quantity. Pressure means it is the thrust acting per unit area. So it is not the total thrust. So if in a body, whatever is the total thrust acting, okay. But how much is the thrust acting on unit area? That is called pressure. Unit means 1. That means suppose this is a surface, this is a top view of the surface. Suppose it is 20 meter and 10 meter. And the thrust is acting on this surface. Suppose 2000 Newton of total thrust force is acting on this surface. So if I say ki area is how much? Area is 200 meter square. And that means I can say that in 200 meter square the thrust acting is how much? 2000 Newton. So the total thrust acting on an area of 200 meter square is 2000 Newton. Then what will be the total thrust acting on 1 meter square area? Then in 1 meter square the total thrust acting will be 2000 by 200, right? So I get 10 Newton per meter square. So that means, if 2000 Newton of thrust is acting on a total area of 200 meter square, that means at every 1 meter square the thrust acting is 10 Newton. So I say the pressure is 10 Newton per meter square. So that means although the total force is acting 2000 Newton, so if somebody asks me what is the total thrust acting on the surface, I say 2000 Newton. But if then they ask me ki what is the pressure on the surface, then I say the pressure on the surface is 10 Newton per meter square, and we collectively we say as Pascal after the name of the scientist. And therefore we can simply say that pressure is equal to thrust by area, force by area. You can understand ki suppose on a meter square, suppose the area is a meter square, the thrust acting is F. Then in 1 meter square the thrust acting will be F by A. So if total area is A, the thrust acting is F. So in A meter square the thrust acting is F. Then in 1 meter square the thrust acting will be F by A. So therefore this is the formula for finding pressure. So pressure is equal to force by area. Force means thrust by area. Okay, understand? Now in this P is equal to F by A. Now if I put F as 1 Newton and if I put area as 1 meter square, then I get my pressure as 1 Newton per meter square, and as I have told you, this Newton per meter square is collectively called Pascal, so we say 1 Pascal. So from here we can understand what do I mean by 1 Pascal. 1 Pascal is how much pressure. If I say the pressure on a body is 1 Pascal, that means what? That means if a thrust of 1 Newton acts on an area of 1 meter square, then we say the pressure is 1 Pascal. So sometimes they ask you this definition, ki define 1 Pascal. So we say 1 Pascal is the pressure when a thrust of 1 Newton acts on an area of 1 meter square. So 1 Pascal is that much pressure when 1 Newton of thrust is acting on an area of 1 meter square. So this is 1 meter square, and if 1 Newton is acting, then I say the total pressure experienced by this surface is 1 Pascal. So that is Pascal. Okay. Now from here we can say that pressure depends upon these two factors. The pressure acting on a body depends upon these two factors. So the pressure acting on a body, first of all, is directly proportional to thrust. That means greater the thrust I give on a body, more will be the pressure. And the pressure acting on a body is in fact inversely proportional to the area on which the thrust is acting. So that means greater the thrust, more is the pressure. And similarly, greater the area, less will be the pressure, and less the area, more will be the pressure. So if anywhere I want to increase the pressure or I want to decrease the pressure, then what can I do? Either I increase the thrust acting on them, or I decrease the area. Now this one is not very easy, because I have to apply my effort. For example, I need to increase my pressure. Now if I use a blunt knife, but which is blunt, then what I experience? I experience difficulty in cutting something. And for cutting with that blunt knife, what I have to do? I have to use a greater force. I have to press it properly, and I have to give a lot of force to cut something. So that is inconvenience. So instead of giving greater thrust, I can do another thing. I can decrease the area. So for that, what we do? I sharpen that knife. And that is the reason, it is easier to cut with a sharpened knife. Because when the knife is sharp, the area is less. And if area is less, the pressure is more. But if the knife is blunt, the area become more. And if the area become more, the pressure become less. So I find difficult to cut. So therefore it is always better to increase or decrease the pressure by changing the area. So from here we can understand that how can we increase the pressure, way of increasing the pressure. Now again, way of increasing the pressure, either to increase the thrust or to decrease the area. Now which one is better? To decrease the area. So therefore, way of increasing the pressure, the best way is to decrease the area. And therefore, nails are pointed. And cutting instruments have sharp edges. Cutting instrument. Right? Nails are pointed, the nails are made pointed. So pointed means the area is less. So when I hammer, now if this is pointed and if the nail is not pointed, like this, blunt, then what will happen? When I hammer, this nail get easily pierced. Because the area is less, pressure becomes more and it easily get inside. But instead of that, if the edges are not pointed, then the area is more. So the less pressure is acting on the surface and it is difficult to pierce. So that is the reason nails are pointed and there are sharp edges for cutting instruments, right? Similarly, now ways of decreasing pressure. Now that means for decreasing pressure, again we can increase the surface area, so the pressure exerted will be less. And it is for the same reason, wooden sleepers are kept between railway lines. You see, these are the railway lines. Now, if there is no wooden sleeper between these railway lines, what will happen? That there is every chance that this line, they get pushed inside the ground due to high pressure, because the weight of the train is much, and the whole weight of the train is divided into this. That means all the thrust of the train, this thrust, is acting on this area. So pressure is more, and higher the pressure, there is a chance that the railway lines may sink in the ground. But now you can understand, if wooden sleepers are laid in this way, so now see what happens. Now the area, before the area was this much, right? Now when I have fixed this wooden sleepers, now the area is this. Now the total thrust of the train is now divided into a larger area. So if area is increased, the pressure will be less. Understand? So therefore, there are wooden sleepers are fitted between the railway lines. And the same reason, the foundation of a building is made broader. The foundation of a building is made broader than the building. The building then goes like this. So that the total weight of the building is divided into a greater area. so the pressure become less. So there is a less pressure on the ground and the building may not sink by the weight in soft ground especially. So understand, so these are the ways of increasing pressure and ways of decreasing pressure. Okay. Okay, now we will do pressure in fluids. Now pressure in fluids is actually equals to H into rho into G. Just now we have seen that pressure is equal to thrust by area. Now this thrust by area we use for pressure on solid bodies. But pressure due to fluids, fluids means liquids and gases. Both liquids and gases exert pressure. And for calculating that pressure in fluids, we do H rho G. What is H? H is the depth of the point from the free surface. The point which I am talking about. Rho means, rho is the density of the liquid or the density of the gas, fluids. And G means acceleration due to gravity of that place. Now we want to derive this formula, that how this formula came. Because the main formula of the pressure is always this according to the definition. Thrust acting per unit area. So pressure means thrust acting per unit area. But in case of fluid pressure we use this formula. Now how to derive that? For that, let us consider a vessel containing water, containing a liquid, any other liquid, any liquid. And let this xy be the surface of the water. Now suppose I want to calculate the pressure at any point. At any point. Now the pressure is different here, the pressure is different here. The pressure can different here, but I want to calculate the pressure at any point. Now let me calculate the pressure at a certain depth. Suppose at a depth h. So I want to calculate the pressure at this place. Understand? I want to calculate the pressure at this place. Which place? At a depth h from the free surface. So I want to calculate the pressure at this level. So for that I am consider a flat disc, flat circular disc. Imagine disc PQ at a depth h. So let me consider there is a circular disc. Understand? At a depth h. And this is PQ, and I want to calculate the pressure on this PQ. Now PQ is a disc, so PQ is holding water. I want to calculate the pressure on the fluid, so I want to calculate the liquid pressure on this disc PQ. Now for this we have to calculate what? We have to calculate the pressure due to liquid column PQRS. Means, just try to understand, if I want to calculate the pressure on this disc, I have to calculate the pressure of this part, pressure due to the water or the liquid, this much water, how much pressure it is putting on this surface. I have to calculate this part I don't have to calculate the pressure of this part or this part. I need vertically this part pressure, how much pressure this liquid is exerting on this PQ. So that I have to calculate. So this is an imaginary liquid column PQR. So that means this part of the liquid which is at this PQ on this disc PQ which is at the depth of H. So I am considering I just want to calculate the pressure due to this liquid column, and the whatever the pressure due to this liquid column, that will be the pressure on this PQ. Now for that, first of all, for calculating pressure, I need to first know the thrust due to liquid column. So I need to calculate the thrust first and consider a flat circular disc PQ at a depth H whose area, let me take the area also, whose area is A. That means the area of this surface is how much? A. So the area is A. Now I want to calculate the pressure. Now for pressure, first I need to calculate force, thrust. What I am calculating? I am calculating thrust due to liquid column PQRS. Thrust due to liquid column PQRS. Now thrust means weight. Weight of the liquid column. Thrust means, thrust means the force acting normally on a surface. So if this is a table surface, and if somebody's, you are putting any weight here, that weight is thrust. So if my weight is same, if a person weight is 100 Newton, and if the person is sitting on a table, that means the person is exerting a force of 100 Newton on the table. Whatever my weight, I am just giving that force only. So if I want to calculate the thrust on this PQ, thrust on this PQ will be equal to what? Will be equal to the weight of this liquid, weight. Whatever weight it is, that same thrust is acting on this. So I say thrust due to liquid column is actually equal to weight of the liquid column. Weight of the liquid column means mass of liquid column PQRS into G, because weight is equal to M into G. Weight of a body is mass into acceleration due to gravity. And you also know mass of the liquid means volume of the liquid into density of the liquid, because mass means, mass of a body means volume into density. So if I want to calculate the mass of this liquid, mass of this much liquid means the volume of this liquid into density of the liquid. Into G. So that is, and volume means, volume means area into height. Anybody's volume. Now if I want to calculate the volume of this part, then volume means the area into height. So that is volume. So since volume of a body means area into height, so I can say this is area into height, and density of the liquid I have taken rho and G. So finally I got what? Thrust is AH rho G. Now if I want to calculate pressure, pressure means thrust by area. Now we got thrust as AH rho G, and this is A, and AA get cancelled, and finally we got pressure is equal to H rho G. Understand? Okay, so finally we can say that pressure in a fluid is directly proportional to the height or depth from the free surface, is directly proportional to the density of the liquid, and is directly proportional to the acceleration due to gravity. And it is, due to this same reason, there are some consequence of this pressure in fluids. Like the wall of a dam is made thicker at the bottom because as the water hits the wall of the dam, the pressure at the, as we go bottom and bottom, the pressure increases. It is due to this depth. So at the lower part of the dam, the pressure is higher, and to withstand that high pressure, the wall becomes thicker and thicker as you go down. Because at the initial part the pressure is less, P1, now say P2, then P3 and then P4, and the pressure is less. So as we go down and down and down, the pressure is increasing. So by that proportionality, the wall is made thicker. Okay. Similarly, water tanks are generally placed at the highest part of the building. So that it falls from a greater height through the pipe, and it flows with a greater pressure. So inside the tap, the water pressure will be high. So higher the tank, it will fall with a greater pressure, and so inside the bathroom or toilet, wherever the people are using, the water flowing from the tap will be at a higher pressure. So the flow of water will be at a higher pressure. Okay. Now, if we see bubbles appearing from a pond or an aquarium, the size of the bubbles grow from the bottom towards the top. So, inside what is, there is air, gas, and outside, there is water here or liquid, whatever it is. Now, liquid pressure, increases with depth. So, the pressure acting on this bubble by the liquid is higher. But as the bubble rise up, the liquid pressure is decreasing on the bubble, and since the pressure is decreasing, the volume is increasing. According to Boyle's law, volume of a gas is inversely proportional to pressure. So if I talk about this point, the pressure is more, volume is less. Now as the bubble rises, the pressure decreases, the volume increases. So as it rises higher and higher, the pressure is decreasing and decreasing because the depth is decreasing, and since the depth is decreasing, the pressure is decreasing, and pressure decreasing means volume is also decreasing according to the Boyle's law. So that means at a greater depth always there is a high pressure. Okay. So it is due to the same reason that divers, sea divers, always wear a diving suit, because a sea diver, they dive at a very deep part of the sea. Now if they don't wear their diving suit, their body may be crushed due to that water pressure, because at this depth, the water pressure is far more than the blood pressure of our body. Generally what happens, the atmospheric pressure outside and inside our blood pressure, they neutralizes each other, and therefore we don't feel much. But in a deep sea, the depth is so much, so the water pressure is very much high, and that water pressure may crush the body of the diver, and therefore they wear a special type of diving suit to withstand this high water pressure. That's a specially made diving suit made up of glass, plastic or aluminum, so that can withstand that high pressure of water, and therefore it is necessary for sea divers to wear a diving suit. Okay. Okay, now next is laws of liquid pressure. Now this is very important to understand. So if you understand this 5 law, you can have a full concept clear about the liquid pressure. Now number 1, what they told, pressure increases with depth in a liquid. So that you understood so far. That means still, okay, one by one I am explaining with diagram. You see, so I think this you have understood so far. I am just telling you 3 points. Point A, another is point B, another is point C. So I can say the pressure at C is maximum because this is the free surface. So greater the depth, greater is the pressure. So pressure at C is maximum, then is pressure at B, and least is pressure at A. Understand? So that is pressure increases with depth. Next, in a stationary liquid, pressure is same at all points on a horizontal plane. In a stationary, naturally if the water is not moving, not like waves and sea waves. So suppose it's a stationary liquid. So what they told, in a stationary liquid, pressure is same at all points on a horizontal plane. Now horizontal plane means, now this is one plane, say this is one plane, or this is one plane. So at a level, that is called a plane. So at any plane, suppose if I talk about this plane, say this plane, see point A, point B, point C, point D, point A, point B, point C, point D. So you can understand this is a horizontal plane, and in all this place, in all these points, the pressure will be equal. PA will be equal to PB, will be equal to PC, will be equal to PD. Understand? So there are infinite points. Every point the pressure will be same. But if I talk about point X will be less than this, right? Less than all this pressure. Now if I talk about point Y, this point Y will be greater than everybody, all this. But pressure at A and pressure at B and pressure at C and pressure at D, all this pressure will be equal. So that is, in a stationary liquid, pressure is same at all points on a horizontal plane. Okay. Next is, pressure is same in all direction about a point inside a liquid. Pressure is same in all direction about a point. So if I talk about any point, suppose this point A. Now at this point, the liquid pressure is acting in all direction in this way. In this way. So from everywhere there is a pressure. It's not that from only one side. Otherwise, every time somebody sings, they should get a push in certain direction. They never get that. So the pressure is same in all direction, and all these pressure are equal pressure. So if I talk about a particular point, at this particular point, if a pressure is acting in this direction, another pressure is also acting in the opposite direction, and same pressure. From here and from here, same pressure. From here and from here, same pressure, and here and here. So at this point, the pressure is acting same in all directions. So every direction the pressure is acting So that is what they are telling, pressure is same in all direction about a point inside a liquid. Okay. Next, pressure at same depth is different in different liquid. So it's not that if the depth is same, always the pressure will be same, because the liquid is different. And if the liquid is different, their densities are different. And pressure depends on density also. So now, so you can understand from here. Now suppose if I take, now suppose this is water. And this is say mercury. And this is water. And suppose this is a point A and this is point B. And the depth is same, H, same depth. But the pressure at B will be greater than pressure at A, although they are on the same depth. But since their densities are different, the pressure will be different. And liquid pressure increases with density. So since mercury is having a higher density, so therefore the pressure at mercury at the same depth is higher, right? Okay, and the last is liquid seeks its own level. That means liquid searches its own level. You take an U tube, and if you fill water, you see water fills like this, here, and then it will fill here. It will fill up to here, then here also it will fill up to here. If it fills up to here, here also it fills up to here. So automatically liquid find its own level, and the level are same. Understand? So that is what they told, liquid seeks its own level. Now if I take this type of vessels, say we say this is a communicating vessel, so you can understand. Like this, suppose. Then also you will find that when you are filling water in it, it will fill like this way, and if it fills at this level, then in here also it will fill up to this, and here also it will fill up to this, right? So that is liquid seeks its own level. Okay. Okay, now is Pascal's law. Now this was proposed by Blaise Pascal, and he states that the pressure exerted anywhere in a confined liquid is transmitted equally and undiminished in all direction. So that means, let's say this, imagine a plastic bottle. And if it is, say, full of water, now you apply pressure in any part of the bottle, like I am pressing, then that pressure is transmitted equally in all direction. How can we understand? Now if I make a hole here, suppose the neck, now if I press here, we'll see the water is flowing from here. Now if I make a hole here also, now if I press, I will see water is flowing from here and from here to a same extent. So that means equal pressure here and equal pressure here. This pressure P is transmitted here also with same P, and transmitted here also with the same pressure. That means the pressure are same and it is equal in all direction. Similarly, if I make a hole and again if I press, then I will find water coming from here also. So that is what they told. that it states that pressure exerted anywhere in a confined liquid. So I apply pressure from here or from here or from here, that pressure get equally distributed in all direction. And we can understand by this making holes, we can understand I give pressure to any part, water comes out equally from all directions. So that is called Pascal's law. Okay, understand? Okay, now application of Pascal's law. Now this Pascal's law generally used in hydraulic machines like hydraulic press, hydraulic brakes and hydraulic jacks. You know, hydraulic press means it is used for pressing materials. Hydraulic brakes, that is generally used in motor vehicles, cars and trucks. The brakes that is applied, that's hydraulic. And hydraulic jack is generally used for lifting cars, you know, generally in garage. Now in all these machines, they are based on Pascal's law. And what is the advantage of using these machines? If we use these machines, then what happens, we can use a very less force at a certain part and we get a greater force at one part, at the other part. Now one example I tell you, say a hydraulic jack. A hydraulic jack is used for lifting cars. Okay, lifting cars. Say, so one person can just simply press this lever, this piston will go down and this piston will go up and thereby raising the car. Understand? Raising the car. So this is the piston, movable piston. This is also the movable pistons. So if I press, the piston goes down, it forces the water, so give a pressure and that pressure is transmitted here. Due to that pressure, a force is produced and that force is large enough to lift this car. So that means we are using a less force and we can lift or we can do work of much greater force. So that is the advantage of this hydraulic machines. Now in ICC syllabus, this hydraulic machines is excluded, that working and everything is excluded, but still I'm just giving you a basic idea for your knowledge. Now how it works you can understand. Now let the area of this piston be A1 and let the area of this piston be A2. So that means A2 is greater than A1, so this is the larger piston, so this area is more, this area is less. Now suppose we apply a force F1 here. We apply a force F1. So what will happen? When we apply a force F1 on A1 on this piston, then pressure will be how much? A pressure will be formed, and let that pressure be P1 and that pressure will be what? F1 by A1. Okay. So a pressure will be produced and that is P1. Now this pressure get transmitted here and that same pressure comes here. So this pressure is transmitted to A2. So that means this pressure, according to Pascal's law, this pressure is transmitted to A2. So at this part, and due to this a force F2 will be produced. So a force F2 will be produced due to this pressure. Now what will be this force? You know, force is equal to pressure into area. So here F2 will be what? Pressure. Now this pressure is how much? This F1 by A1 got transmitted. So the pressure is F1 by A1 and area is how much? A2. Area is A2. Understand? So finally what we got? F2 equals to F1 by A1 into A2. Now if you compare this F2 and F1, now what can I say? What I got? F2 by F1 equals to A2 by A1. So we got this relation. So this is the relation for hydraulic machine. So in any hydraulic machine sums, you can use this formula, F2 by F1, or we can say F1 by F2 is equal to A1 by A2. Okay, and then we'll get it. Okay, so finally you can understand from here if F1 by F2 equals to A1 by A2, and you know since A2 is greater than A1, A2 is greater than A1, and that means F2 will be greater than F1. So always this F2 is greater than F1. So this is the principle for hydraulic machine. Okay. Okay, so the same concept of hydraulic machine we can understand in case of a bottle. Now suppose this is a closed bottle and this is the area of the base. You know, base is bigger, so area of the base is A2 and area of the neck or this lid, that is A1. Okay. Now if I give a force here, then a force will be produced here also, right? So if I give a force F1, say, or if I give a force here, a force F1, then what will be the pressure formed here? Pressure will be F1 by A1. Understand? And that same pressure will come here and it will form a pressure P2, and whereas you know P1 equals to P2, so that means the pressure at this point will be equal to the pressure at this point. Now pressure 1 will be what? F1 by A1, and here the pressure 2 here will be what? F2 by A2, because this F1 will create a force F2. Understand? So that means finally if I just see, we give a force here and another force is produced here, right? F2, and this is A2. And according to Pascal's law, the pressure at here is how much? P1 by F1 by A1, and pressure at here is how much? F2 by A2. So I can simply use F1 by A1 is equal to F2 by A2. Understand? Now out of this 4, if any 3 is given to me, okay, I can get the fourth part. So that is how we do numericals related with Pascal's law. Okay. Okay, now our sums, which is according to the similar concept that I have explained to you just now. The diameter of the neck and the bottom of a bottle is 2 centimeter and 10 centimeter. So mind the diameter is given. So that means the radius is 1 for the neck and the radius for the bottom is 5, right? Diameter is 10, radius is 5. The bottle is completely filled with oil. Okay, so the bottle is completely filled with oil. If the neck of the bottle is pressed with a force of 1.2 kgf, so that means if a force of 1.2 kgf is pressed here, then what force is exerted on the bottom? What force is exerted on the bottom? Now you can understand here also we'll use that hydraulic principle, F1 by A1 equals to F2 by A2. That's all. And you know area, here area will be what? Area, you know, pi into r square, because it's a circular, and radius is 1, so I'll write here pi into 1 square. So I'll keep my values in pi. Now what will be area 2? Area 2 will be again pi r square, so that will be pi into 5 square, so I get 25 pi. And now if I put the values here, f1, so this is f1 1.2, so 1.2 kgf, a1 is pi, f2 I have to find, and a2 is 25 pi, right? So finally I get 1.2 into 25 pi, and that is f2, and pi will get cancelled, and finally we get f2 as 25 into 30 kgf. Understand? So this is also a sum based on Pascal's law. Okay, so the first part is finished, and the next part I'll upload videos of atmospheric pressure. Okay, so this Pascal law is finished, the next part will be atmospheric pressure.